Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another podcast. And today I'm going to talk about the latest Lifetime movie titled Living with My Mother's Killer. Before I get started with this podcast review, I want you guys to like this video, share this video, comment in the comment section below, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'm going to talk about all of the highlights that took place in this movie, Living with My Mother's Killer. This movie starts off in media res, meaning it starts off in the past. And it starts off with the main character. We later find out that the main character's name is Mora, or Mara. I'm going to say Mara. And she's like playing around. Apparently, her mother owned a bed and breakfast. And she starts talking to this boy named Carson. And all of a sudden, these four boys, they come out of nowhere, and one of the boys throws an object at Carson, and he assaults Mara. And then that's when Carson punches the boy. Unfortunately, because Carson punched the boy, he was like one of the employees at the bed and breakfast, and because he punched one of the boys, that was actually the boy that he punched turned out to be a guest. And since he assaulted a guest, the mother, which is Mara's mom that runs the bed and breakfast, she had to fire Carson. Not long after that, Mara, she finds Carson and her mother at the bottom of the steps, and the mother's dead, but Carson is just knocked out. So like both of them are at the bottom of the steps, and the mother, like her head, I guess, her head hit the ground pretty hard. So there's like a puddle of blood near her mother's head, but Carson, there's no blood near him, so apparently he survived. 14 years later, Mara is running the bed and breakfast, and she is also in college. Good for her. And she's talking about, her life story, and one of her classmates wants to know if Carson killed her mother or not. And that was a big question that I had at the beginning of the movie, because in my opinion, it didn't seem like Carson had anything to do with her mother's death, because he was knocked out too. He was like on the ground laying right next to her mom. So the classmate starts getting really nosy and asking Mara a lot of questions, and the professor wants the classmate to just mind her business. And the classmate, later on, it's revealed that the classmate's name is Zelda. Zelda wants to help out Mara to find out what happened to her mom, and Mara's not really, because this is such a sensitive topic for her, Mara's not really for it, but she considers it later on in the movie. What else happened during this movie? Yeah, Zelda shows up to Mara's bed and breakfast. She wants to help Mara solve her mother's mystery. Like, she's really adamant about wanting to help Mara solve her murder's mystery. And Joy doesn't want Mara there. Mara, she doesn't believe that Carson murdered her mom, and I didn't believe that Carson murdered her mom either. And just for you guys to know, so there's going to be some spoilers in this review, so I might jump ahead and go ahead and like say who was the killer and who did what, because I'm going to be talking about the highlights. So like the main highlights, like some of these highlights that I'm talking about, I have to talk about what else happened later on in this movie for the highlights to make sense, if that makes sense. But Carson shows up to Mara's bed and breakfast. We later on find out, well, I'm not going to give that spoiler away just yet, but Carson shows up to Mara's bed and breakfast. We find out some interesting information about Carson later in this movie, but I'm not going to spoil it just yet. I'm going to leave that spoiler for the end of this review. But Carson shows up to Mara's bed and breakfast. He was released from jail, and Joy doesn't want Carson there. Carson claims that he didn't kill Mara's mom, and Joy doesn't trust him. Later on, Mara has a bad dream, and in this dream, she's heard like a sound, and she gets out of bed, and all of a sudden, Carson like grabs her by the neck and starts choking her, and Mara wakes up and realizes that it was all just a dream. Mara and Carson, they have a date night. The pool boy tells Carson to leave Joy alone, and Carson doesn't seem to like the pool boy. And just for you guys to know, Joy and the pool boy, they had like a relationship. They were having sex in this movie, so like I'm assuming that they were either together, they were either boyfriend and girlfriend or friends with benefits. What else happened during this movie? Poor boy. Zelda shows up again. Yeah, Zelda, yeah, she shows up again and she thinks that Mara is in danger. Not long after Zelda speaks with Mara, she's killed. Like someone attacked her when she was apparently she was at the college that her and Mara goes to, and she was on the steps, and all of a sudden the lights turned off, and then the killer, like someone like came out of nowhere and knocked her down and then stabbed her in the chest. And later on in this movie, Zelda, the killer, ends up burying Zelda. Mara tries to contact Zelda, but unfortunately Zelda is dead. So Zelda is not responding. Even the professor, like Mara had to ask the professor, like, has she heard from Zelda? And the professor confirmed that, Zelda hasn't even been in class. So, what else? I'm just checking over my notes, make sure I didn't miss any important highlights. Yeah, I already said that. Mara doesn't believe that Carson killed her mom. They go to the basement. Mara and quote unquote Carson. And for those of you who watched this movie, you know that it as far as Carson goes, like it's going to be like the twist at the end. It's going to be like one of those like identity theft type of twists. So I'm just going to for those of you that watch the movie and know what I'm talking about as far as like Carson and who was the real Carson, quote unquote. That's why I put, in quotations like Carson because, it's not really Carson. I hate that I had to spoil that for you guys, but it just wouldn't make sense if I didn't, explain why I was being sarcastic when I was saying Carson's name. But Amara doesn't believe that Carson killed her mom, so they go down to the basement where her mom was killed, and they start reviewing everything that happened and the time that her mother was killed. So Mara starts to do some type of hypnotic therapy on Carson, and Carson claims that he heard his mother, not his mother, but Carson claims that he heard Mara's mother's voice, and we find out that I think the mother's name was Suzanne or something like that. Mara and Carson, they questioned this old man, and apparently Mara owed the man $10,000. So he's like a suspect in their eyes because Mara is thinking because the mother owed the man $10,000. That's not something that somebody would just get over. But the man, he's innocent. He didn't do anything. Long story short. But Mara's mom was sick. It's revealed that Mara's mom was sick, and it's not confirmed what her illness was, but it's going to be confirmed later on in this movie what the illness was. Carson's mom was ill too, according quote unquote Carson. His mom was ill too, and Mara, she seems to be suffering from an illness also during this movie. I mean, in this movie, and it explains like what at the end it's all going to make sense as far as like the illness that the mother had and the illness that Mara had. Carson is watching Mara take a shower. Apparently, there's like some hidden camera in the restroom that Mara uses, and Joy is snooping around. And Joy catches Carson. No, Carson catches Joy snooping around, and he grabs her by the arm, and then she gets upset and she feels attacked. So she just wants Carson to leave. She does not like Carson at all. But it was kind of suspicious because I really didn't trust Joy at all. I thought that Joy, you know, was behind some things that was going on in this movie. I just didn't trust her for some reason. There was something about her that I just did not trust. But Mara, she tries to get her mom's medical records from the hospital, but someone already picked up the records, and the person that picked up the records' name was Z. Ellis. And it's revealed later on that Zelda apparently had like this fake ID that she used to get Mara's mother's records. And Mara, she starts to listen to like the recording that Zelda had because the professor gave Mara Zelda's bag because for some reason the professor had Zelda's bag, like she left it, or the killer forgot get Zelda's bag because there was like a record, like Zelda, she had like this physical recorder. It wasn't like she wasn't using her phone to record. She was using like an actual like old school recorder to talk on the phone, and the recorder was in her bag. And the professor had her bag, and Mara was like, well, I'm about to meet with her anyway later on, so you might as well just give me the bag. So the professor gives her the bag, and in the bag there's a recording device. And Mara, she starts to listen to the recording that Zelda was doing, and then all of a sudden Carson appears out of nowhere, so she's not able to hear like the rest of the recording. Joy accuses Carson of stealing some deposit money. She wants to get Carson in trouble because she does not like him. So what she had the pool boy do is, in the pool boy's name, I think it was Drew. She has like the pool boy, which is her boyfriend or friends with benefits or whatever. She has him put the like deposit money in Carson's room so it looks as though Carson stole the money. And later on during this movie, when she like barged, Joy barged into the room that Mara and Carson was in, and she was accusing Carson of stealing the deposit money, and she's like looking like like going crazy looking for the money, and she wants to know where is it because she knows that she Joy knows that Carson didn't steal that money. She had the pool boy try to plant the money in Carson's room. But what's crazy is Drew, like he had the deposit money, like he was about to leave, but Mara stops him and she finds like the deposit money in one of Drew's bags. So like Drew was actually, I think Drew was going to steal that. I really think that Drew was going to steal that money instead of blaming it on Carson. He was just going to take the money and then like have Joy or whoever point the finger at Carson because I guess it's every in this movie it was every man for himself in certain circumstances. What else happened? We're almost towards the end where all the twists took place. Someone lights up some poisonous fire. Like how can I describe this? All of a sudden, someone lights up this fire in this like garbage can and puts it by the leaves, and it creates like this poisonous smoke. And I'm assuming that Joy was like in it, and Joy was in the greenhouse. So like someone like came into the greenhouse and like they put like this garbage can that had like fire in it. It's hard to explain, but I'm going to try my best to explain what happened. So like there was this garbage can, right? And someone lit a match and like put the match inside of the garbage can, and I'm assuming I guess it was some paper in the garbage can, and so like there's like this fire inside of the garbage can. Someone took the garbage can and put it by the plants, and I guess it created some poisonous smoke. And Joy was inside of the greenhouse when this took place. So when Joy tried to get out, but all of the doors were locked, so Carson saves her. And like he lets her out of the greenhouse. I hope that makes sense. I tried my best to explain it without having any type of confusion. I'm going to try to explain it one more time just to be safe. Joy was in the greenhouse, right? Okay, follow me. And all of a sudden, somebody lit a match inside and put it inside a garbage can, which made like a small fire. And then that's when they put that garbage can by like around some plants. And I guess like the combination of like the fire smoke and the plants that was being used caused some like a poisonous smoke to occur, and it could have killed, or it could have not necessarily killed, but it could have, I guess, really hurt Joy. But thankfully Joy, she survives. Well, I'm not going to say thankfully she survives because later on in this movie, we find out some things. So oh yeah, so it's revealed. I'm finally going to talk about the spoiler now and why I was putting quotations on Carson's name and why I was being sarcastic when I was talking about Carson. It's revealed that Carson is still in jail, and the person that is claiming to be Carson was actually Carson's jailmate, and the jailmate's name was Trevor Walker. So it's not really Carson that throughout this entire movie, the person that's been portraying themselves as Carson, it really wasn't Carson. It was just his cellmate, Trevor Walker, that was released recently, and he's posing as Carson. Carson is still in jail. So Trevor, we can call him Trevor now because that's his real name, Trevor. There's like this guy that the main character Mara is around, and I'm assuming like it's like her ex or boyfriend or something like that. He tries to get some more information on Carson, and when he talks to one of the staff members that has information on like the cellmates, he confirmed that Carson's still in jail, and he showed the staff member for whatever department or job that he was at. I don't know what his job title was. I forgot, but he showed that I forget what that character's name was. I want to say his name was Billy. That it's Was it Billy? I think it was Billy. It's the guy that I want to say was the ex-husband or ex-boyfriend of Mara, which is the main character. I don't remember what his name is. I'm just going to say his name was Billy. But the staff member shows Billy a picture of some people, and he said like he asked Billy like, does this guy look familiar? And then that's when Billy is like, yes. And then that's when the man tells him that that's not Carson, that's actually Trevor Walker. Trevor Walker was Carson's cellmate. So he tries to call Mara to warn her about what's going on and the information that he just found out. But all of it, and when he like sent her an email, and it's like a mugshot picture of Trevor Walker with his name on it. And then that's when he explained that Carson isn't the Carson that we thought was Carson isn't really Carson. His name is Trevor. And Mara, what else happened? We're almost at the end of this review. This review is only going to be like under 30 minutes. So it's not going to be like an hour-long review or anything like that. But Trevor, he warns Mara, and not Trevor, Billy warns Mara. And Trevor wants Mara to write like a goodbye letter, and this is at the point where it's confirmed that everyone knows that this really isn't Carson. So she tries to make a run for it, but Trevor, he grabs her, and he gave her a pen to write like a love letter, like a goodbye love letter. He wanted her to say that, oh, she fell in love with him, and she wanted to just leave and start over with him. Pretty much, she wanted to just go away and have like a happily ever life with Trevor. But she tries to make a run for it, and Trevor grabs her, and they get into like a scuffle, and Trevor starts to choke her. And that's when Mara, she grabs like a pen and she stabs him in the neck with it. She stabs him in the neck with the pen, and it's not really revealed if he died or not, but because like Mara, she stabbed him in like a very sensitive part on the body. So it was around like the jugular vein where she stabs him with the pen. So it wasn't revealed if he survived or not. Mara, she wants to sell the bed and breakfast, but Joy, she doesn't want to sell the bed and breakfast because this is like all she knows, because she doesn't have anywhere else to go. So Mara, apparently Joy put a halt on trying to sell the bed and breakfast, and Mara's like, why did you do that? Because there's so many buyers that wants to buy this bed and breakfast. But Joy, she doesn't have anything else. She like, there's nowhere else she can go. She like doesn't really have a life of her own. And Mara was like, maybe it's best that you just move on. Mara starts listening to more of like the recordings that was on Zelda's recording device, and all of a sudden Zelda mentions like frog poisoning, and Zelda starts explaining like the health issues that frog poison can cause, such as sleep paralysis, dizziness, and like a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's revealed that Joy has been poisoning Mara this entire time. And like I said, I never trusted her. I never trusted Joy at all. Like, I just never trusted her. And all of a sudden, Joy comes out of nowhere, and Mara turns around, and then that's when she sees that she sees that Joy has a cup in her hand, and and Joy's like, I'll put something a little special in here for you. And Mara's like, no, Mara's like, no, that's okay. I'm tired. I'm just gonna lay down. So instead of going to her room, she goes to the greenhouse, and she starts looking in the drawers, and she finds Zelda's glasses, and she finds a whole bunch of, bottles that had originally had poison in it. And then all of a sudden, Joy comes out of nowhere and stabs Mara in the neck with a needle that has poison in it. And all of a sudden, we see Joy in a chair, and Mara is like bringing her over to the stairs where her mother was like, where her mother was pushed down the stairs. Pretty well, her mother wasn't pushed down the stairs. I'm going to explain what happened towards the end of this video. But Joy, she starts confessing that she was the one that was behind her mother's death, because she was poisoning her mother with frog poisoning. She was putting frog poisoning in in Mara's mother's beverages. So that caused her mother to have health issues. So there was a situation that happened when Mara's mother, which is Suzanne, she was over by the steps, and she had like a beverage. She had a beverage in her hand, and apparently this beverage had that. Hey everyone, the recording cut off, so I'm going to try to start where I left off when I was explaining how it was revealed that Joy was actually the one that killed the mother, or was behind causing her mother to die. It was revealed that Joy had been using frog poisoning and to poison the mom and Mara. And there was a scene, like a flashback scene, when Joy was when she was describing about like how she killed Mara's mother. Oh no, I already explained that. But all of a sudden, oh yeah, that's where I was. I think this is where I was when I was explaining. I'm trying to make sure that I don't re-explain what I already explained, because that can get annoying. So yeah, so Mara was in the greenhouse, and she finds like the poison bottle, like the bottles of poison that Joy has been playing around with to poison Mara, and she finds Zelda's glasses. And not long after Mara finds that all of those objects, Joy comes out of nowhere and stabs her in the neck with a needle that has poison in it. So all of a sudden, Joy puts Mara in this rolling chair, and Joy is trying to bring Mara over to the steps where her mother fell down, where her mother died. Her mother actually fell down she fell down the steps. She wasn't pushed down the steps. She just fell down the steps. But I'm going to explain why and how it was Joy's fault that happened. So Joy had been poisoning her mother, Mara's mother's beverages as well. So there was like this situation that happened when the mother was by the steps, and all of a sudden she started having health issues. Like, she was becoming very faint because of the frog poisoning that Joy had been putting in her beverages. And then because of all the poison that Joy put in the beverages, it caused her mom to become faint, and all of a sudden she fell down the steps. Was it explained? I don't think it was explained how Carson fell down the steps also, because it was explained how the mother fell down the steps, but I don't think it was thoroughly explained how Carson fell down the steps. If they did explain it, I just don't remember. So the ex-boyfriend shows up, and also before I touch on that, I want to explain one more thing. Because of the poison that Joy injected Mara with, I think it made her become a little paralyzed, so she wasn't really able to fight back. So Joy, she wants to pretty much kill Mara in the same way that her mother died, and in the same way that her mother was killed. She wants to push Mara down the steps. So all of a sudden, Mara's ex-boyfriend shows up, and like I said, I don't remember his name. I think his name was Billy or something like that, something to that magnitude. And Joy answers the door, and all of a sudden they get outside somehow, and Joy, they're talking. Joy and Billy, they're just talking, and all of a sudden he hears Mara scream. And what else happened? What happened after she screamed? Oh yeah, the boyfriend or the ex-boyfriend tries to get inside the house, but then Joy slams his hand in the door, and then that's when she hits him in the head with this huge wooden block, this huge wooden block or something like that. It was some huge wooden object that she hits him in the head with, so he's knocked out. Joy gets back in the house and she goes to the steps where she tried to push Mara down the stairs. She goes to the steps where she tried to kill Mara. And the chair is down, like the chair is at the bottom of the steps, but Mara isn't. So Mara, she's like trying to hide, I think, but Joy finds her, and Joy tries to push Mara down the steps, but Joy ends up slipping and falling, and then she falls down the steps and she hits her head the same way that Mara's mother Suzanne fell down the steps. So the real Carson is released from prison, and it's a happy ending. Mara, she shares the story with her classmates in college, and she makes sure that she gives like a shout out to Zelda in her project, or whatever project that she had for the class, where she was talking about her life story. It said inspired by the events of Zelda or something like that on at the stand that Mara was at. On the sheet of paper, it said inspired by the true events of Zelda, something to that magnitude. So she made sure to give Zelda her credit, because Zelda's dead. She's not there anymore. She's not alive. So good thing that she did at least acknowledge Zelda in some way. But yeah, the real Carson is released from prison, and it's a happy ending, and that's all that happened in this movie. I give this movie like an 8 out of 10. I give this movie an 8 out of 10, because it had a lot of twists in it. Well, it only had like 2 big twists in it. I always knew that Joy had something to do with killing the mother. Like, I never trusted her. Like I said during the beginning of this video, I knew Joy was behind it. And the other good twist was when it was revealed that the Carson wasn't really Carson. It was actually Carson's cellmate. That was a good twist. I wasn't expecting that. So yeah, I give this movie an 8 out of 10. I will be tuned in to next week to the new Lifetime movie. I think that the new Lifetime movie that premieres next week is going to be called Sorority Sisters, something like that. The Secret Life of the Sorority Sisters. I do not remember. Please forgive me. I do not remember the title of that. I just saw like a trailer for it, a promo for it, but I forgot like the exact title for that movie. I promise by next week I'll have that actual title of that movie. I'll have the correct title of the movie, and I'm going to review that movie. Did you guys enjoy this week's new Lifetime movie, Living with My Mother's Killer? If you did, leave a comment in the comment section below. Make sure to like this video, share this video, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know this was a long video. I was hoping that it wasn't going to go over 30 minutes, but I think I might have went over 30 minutes. It wasn't intentional. But thank you guys for tuning in. You have a good one. Bye-bye.